Today we're going to start talking about using a bit more technology. We're going to do a very similar activity to what we did on the walk in Lab 2, but Lab 3 we're using ticker tape. First, let's look at the three parts of what you need. The first one is the actual ticker tape. It's just a thin piece of paper wrapped in a roll. Secondly is carbon paper. The carbon paper are little round discs. One side is a piece of paper, and on the other side is treated with carbon. When you tap the carbon paper, it'll leave a mark on the paper underneath it. When you use it, be sure that the black side of the paper is in contact with your ticker tape, and the purple side is in contact with the ticker tape machine. Thirdly is your ticker tape machine. I'll go over that a little more in detail. The ticker tape machine is actually quite simple. What we have is we have a power supply on the end with an on-off switch. It's quite loud, just warning you. And a little motor inside connected to this little arm. On the arm is a little metal pin, just a little screw or nail that goes up and down 60 times per second. And it hits on a little plate at the bottom. There's also a little tiny pin, hard to see. It's the same color as the machine. And that's where the center of the carbon paper goes, on this little pin here. And then this is the arm that creates the marks on your carbon paper. When you're all set to begin, start by taking your ticker tape paper and run it underneath the gate on one side, underneath the pin of the ticker tape, and then underneath the other gate, like so. Secondly, you're going to take your carbon paper, put the black side down, put the hole in the center of the paper over this little tiny pin here, and it's on top of your ticker tape white paper. When you're set, you turn it on and pull your ticker tape paper towards you. And when you're done, you're going to have a lot of dots on your page. The way it works is that this arm goes up and down 60 times every second. So if you've got it turned on for 5 seconds, you've just made 300 dots on your ticker tape. Now it's time to analyze what that means. Now we're going to analyze our ticker tape. If the dots on your tape aren't very dark, then you should run a new one with a new fresh piece of carbon paper. Don't do what I'm about to do. I'm going to put a couple dots on here just so you can see them with the camera. I see a dot here, and then I'm going to count over 10 more dots. Now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out where we want to start our measurements. I'm going to use this dot right here. This is the start. Okay, and I'm going to put a little line on there. And that is time 0 and distance of 0. Okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure how far the other dots are from that particular dot. And I'm going to record that into a data table. Okay? So at time of 0, I have a distance of 0. And then the next dot, I'll come back to that in a moment, but that is just a little bit, helps if I go in the centimeters, a lot easier to use. That next dot is 2.55 centimeters from the start. The next dot is 4.35 centimeters from the start. Remember, we're doing this from the start. 6.43. 8.31. I've got 10.94. And the last one I have here is at 12.72. The last digit on my measurements is just an estimation using my proper use of precision and accuracy with my ruler. Figuring out the time is a little more tricky. If I'm doing 60 dots in a second, and I measured the distance between my dots to be 10 dots each, that means each dot is a sixth of a second. You could also choose to do your dots every sixth dot, and that would be 0.1 seconds, or whatnot. You can figure out which one works best for you. I did 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I know that this one was the 1 second mark. That's 1 second right there. So each of these is a sixth of a second. I'm going to complete my data table with my times. I'm going to use fractions because I'm okay with fractions. I got a sixth, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6, or that's 1 second for the last one. And I can convert those into decimals. So I know that my ticker tape moved through that machine 60 dots, or 1 second, and it traveled a distance of 12.72 centimeters. I'm going to take my data, I'm going to put that into a data sheet, and I'm going to graph it, find my line of fit, and my average speed that it moved through. But for this assignment, we'll do it a little differently. Rather than doing a paper graph, we're going to do it with Excel. When you're all finished, what you're going to do is you are going to pass in your Excel spreadsheet to the Google Classroom. It will include your data table, your graph, your line of fit, and you'll hand this into the teacher to see that it was done. So if you know how to make a Google spreadsheet and use that to calculate a graph and a line of best fit, then you're all set to go. You can go and do your assignment now. If you're not sure how to do it, you should watch one of my videos that shows how to use Google Sheets to do this data for you. I didn't mention your ticket to enter the class. So what you need to do for homework is you need to take the data sheet that we did on the paper graph the other day. That was the one that had the plant height from the biology class that I did on paper. I'll post the data here. You can take a look at that data, and I want you to make a graph and a line of fit using Google Sheets with my data. That's your homework. Pass that into the Google Classroom in the practice folder, and that'll show me that you understand the concepts. If you need help, please reach out.